No, it's vanilla.
Okay, welcome to the Play It Co-op podcast. This is a new thing we're trying to do. Just have a little fun, talk about different topics. For this one, we're going to start off with just some video gaming topics. We're going to run through some different things. We'll play Ninja Turtles 2 on the Nintendo, the NES. So the things we're going to go through is how we define retro gaming, what is each of me and Crax's favorite console, the top 3 games on that console, the most influential console of our childhood, and also we're going to talk about the Nintendo NX and what we expect it to be.
So why'd you pick Leonardo?
Well, I picked Leonardo because he was originally my favorite turtle. He's the leader of the group. I like to associate myself with that at first because I thought I was top dog. I think, since I liked turtles since I could remember anything, I think I associated with each turtle at one point in time or another, except Donatello. I never felt like I was as skilled as Donatello was with his, his technology. I never thought I was as smart as Donatello.
So you're saying you don't have very much intelligence? You're more of a Michelangelo?
Yeah, I thought I liked Leonardo at first, and then I had a little bit of temper when I was younger, so I'm like, yeah, Raphael, he's cool. He just does whatever he wants. He's a rebel. And then, I got a little bit older, and I thought I was Michelangelo. I liked him. He was party time. Just go out and have fun. And, I never got into Donatello. Always thought, I wasn't the smartest bulb in the box, I guess. Or just wasn't into gadgets the way he was. Like, I like to use gadgets, but I wasn't interested in really making them. And then I came full circle, and I think Leonardo's my favorite again. Like to be the leader.
I would say Leonardo was probably my favorite too. But I never really associated with the other two, Donatello and Leonardo, really. Because I think I'm a little more intelligent than what you think.
Yeah, you got some smarts to you a little bit.
If there was a lazy turtle, that would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I think there was a fat turtle in one of the old cartoons. I
think I remember that.
I think it had something to do with Michelangelo, but I can't quite remember.
There was an Easter episode where they were all fat, I think.
Yeah.
That would be me.
Michelangelo, I'd say, is probably the laziest of the turtles. He's kind of like into like just eating and having fun and stuff. But, he's like the talented one too. Just raw talent, that guy. But this game was actually the first game I ever remember playing. And I wasn't introduced, I was conscious before I was introduced to gaming, believe it or not. So, I know I talked to you before about this, and you said, I can't remember what my first game was because I grew up and gaming was just there.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I was conscious before I saw gaming. I just remember going to our cousin's house one day, and they're like, yeah, let's go play. And then they popped this game in, and I was like, whoa, what is this? I'm like, this is amazing. Like, what is going on here? I'm like, how come I don't know about this?
The funny thing is, I'm your younger brother, and my experience is completely different. Because we got the Atari first. So the Atari was my first game console. I was probably about 3 when I remember the game being played, but other than that, I don't remember before that, so...
Yeah, the Atari, it wasn't the first thing I was exposed to. After I really liked seeing this at our cousin's house, then Grandpa busted out the Atari 2600 out of the basement. We played it at his house. Played some Barnstormer. I remember doing that. So that was kind of cool. But you know, when your first game is Ninja Turtles 2, and you're into the turtles, and you're like, wow, like you're just amazed by what you just seen, and then they got you playing Atari 2600. You're like, yeah, this is cool and all, but you know, I feel like I'm being slighted just a little bit. But anyways, it was fun. I mean, I realized at that point any gaming I was kind of into a little bit. So this game is just I picked this game to do the first podcast, and not only because it was the first game that I really ever played or remember playing, but because you don't have to think too much to play it, especially if you played it some. It doesn't mean we're doing very good right now.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that. I'm getting my ass kicked.
I know at least for me, if I wasn't talking as much, I'd be doing a little bit better.
You know, in the contrast from this game and Manhattan Project, I think Manhattan Project was actually easier after we figured out the trick of the game.
Yeah, I think in Manhattan Project you hit down B and you could just throw your opponent. That made that game much easier to play through because they were basically one-hit kills. In this game you have the A-B move and you can knock out those foot soldiers and Mausers and things in one-hit kills.
It's a lot harder to hit A and B at the same time than it is to just press down and B. That's what's giving me trouble right now. I keep accidentally doing the normal hit.
Yeah, once you get into the rhythm of A and B, then you can pretty much do it on command. It's really not that hard. You just got to get the rhythm going. And right now I got it going. So how would you define retro gaming?
I mean, with retro gaming, it's kind of hard to define it other than by how old a game is. I mean, there's always going to be a form of nostalgia that comes with retro, but I mean, just because you don't have nostalgia for something doesn't mean that it's not retro. So I would say, it's got to be at least 10 years old to be retro.
Yeah, you led it right into my definition. For me, it's very simple. I feel like if the game is at least 10 years old, then you could consider it retro. And it might be 15 for some people, 20, or they might actually define it by the style of game. Because what we're seeing now is if you're a young kid in today's age of gaming, I mean, you're gonna see PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One and PS4, and all those graphics are pretty enhanced, and you're not gonna see too much of a difference. With these games, the improvements were vast between each game. I mean, between not each game, each system. I mean, you could see the improvements from the Atari 2600 to the NES. It was easy to tell the difference in the improvements. And same thing when you went NES to Super Nintendo or Genesis. And then when you went into 3D with the PlayStation and Nintendo 64. So. And then it just got better. PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, those all look way better. And then I think where I would say it's going to be looked at as where it started to level out is the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3.
I mean, if you played the Xbox 360, a launch title versus one that is coming out now that's running on par with something that's on the Xbox One, it's a world of difference. So there is a major improvement that's going on with those games, but I can see how you're not defining it as retro. But there's still a major difference between those.
Yeah, I get, I guess I'm showing my age for gaming, whereas, I can't tell much of a difference between the systems. I mean, obviously, graphically, I could see what the improvements are, and when a console first launches, it's not showing everything it's capable of. But yeah, I mean, it's just the style of the gameplay. Like this game, not only is it retro style graphics, but the gameplay is just super simplistic, and that's something I don't see in many of the games today. I don't get too much into the indie titles, so I can't really speak for those.
I think it's a real misstep for you.
Yeah, they seem to be where like the games I like are headed, and I guess the only thing for me is there's like no recognition. Like this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You recognize them. They're. Wow, you got game over already?
Yeah. I really think that you should play Shovel Knight. They have a physical release of it now. It's only $25 and it's right up your alley.
Is it on the Wii U?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it. It seems cool. Everyone's ranting and raving about that game. I only played it for maybe 5 minutes, and I thought it was pretty cool.
The thing that I like about that game is it understands what's good about a retro game, and it does a little bit more with that.
I'm really concentrating to beat Bebop, because if we have to play level 2 over again, that's pretty embarrassing. And it's looking like that's going to happen, because he's not even blinking yet.
Oh boy. You're just getting worked right now. Are you paying attention to his boss pattern?
Zero rest.
Or his attack pattern?
You were on zero rest before.
Well, I have a hard time focusing on one thing. Trying to do well. Oh man, just getting blasted.
Well, I know I'm better at this game than what just occurred, so we're both gonna have to pick it up because this is not how I saw this going.
Yeah, I thought we would get the shredder.
I can't believe it.
This is a nice level though, you want to see it multiple times.
No, you really don't. So, what, you've been through quite a few consoles, so what would you say is your favorite console of all time, if you had to choose one?
It's a really tough decision if I'm going to choose my favorite console, because, my favorite games span across multiple consoles. Different consoles are good for different reasons for me. You should say what your favorite console is first before I can think of mine.
Well, obviously, I think the same thing. Each consoles have their advantages and they have their games. That's why I have, I think, about 12 different retro consoles. That being said, I think the one that I like best is probably the 64. The Nintendo 64 is the one that I would say I like best. And that's just because of, I think, the age I was at, the multiplayer gaming, the experiences I had with it, and also the fact that there's a lot of games on that system that I like going back to. It's hard to argue with the NES though. There's so many good games on the NES that I like playing, and my favorite game of all time is on the NES, so you really can't go wrong with either of those. The Nintendo 64 though, just a really cool system. I mean, it's arguably the first system that did 3D 100% right. Now, it didn't look the best, but you know, with Mario 64, that game blew people away.
Yeah, Mario 64 is a great game. I really have a hard time saying what my favorite console is. I mean, I think 64 is a good choice for you because you're really into multiplayer gaming. And, you know, the 64 introduced it natively in the system, able to play 4 players. And, yeah, it's a good decision for you, but I still can't decide on that. I mean, I would have to say the one I have the most nostalgia for is probably the NES. But I don't know. I still can't say.
Alright, well, you're undecided. So, quickly, I could rattle off the games I had great experiences with on the 64. And most of them were multiplayer, and I think that's why that system resonated with me. The first being NBA Hang Time. It doesn't get talked a lot about with great 2D games on the Nintendo 64, but that's a good 2D game, and it was one of its early games, if not, I don't know if it was a launch title, but it definitely came out in the first year. That game was just awesome, I mean, because that was basically your sequel to NBA Jam TE. Basically because Acclaim got the license to the NBA Jam name, and NBA Hang Time was just great. So, besides that game, Mario 64, awesome multiplayer game. GoldenEye 007, another revolutionary game. The wrestling games, specifically for me, WCW, NWO Revenge, and WWF No Mercy, those definitely provided some good times. You just get right in there on Bebop. Wayne Gretzky 3D Hockey, another awesome 4-player game. Also, not a lot of people like to trash these games, but Cruising the USA and Cruising the World, those were good multiplayer games, I thought, at least at the time. Going back on them, I still think they're playable.
You know, another good one, Rampage, is a really good.
Yeah, Rampage is a good game. I never really got that much into that game for some reason. And to this day, I still don't really love it. But I could definitely play it, and I see what the appeal is.
Yeah, I think
Stay alive, please. Let me get them.
the whole concept behind Rampage is a little lackluster. You just destroy buildings and eat people.
Yeah, it's just, I played it at the arcade recently, and it didn't seem, maybe I'm just terrible at it, but once you get in the further levels, you're just getting hit by everything. It didn't seem like it was that fair, but what games in the arcade are actually fair?
That's a good question.
The older ones definitely aren't so much.
Yeah, the whole point is to take your money.
So if I had to say the top 364 games, since that's my favorite console, I would say NBA Hang Time would be one of them. And that's not going to be on many people's lists at all, but people who've played it, they know that it's a good game. Other than that, I mean, Mario 64. No, not Mario 64. Mario Kart 64. That game, especially the Grand Prix, which is with 2 players, that's where I had most of my fun. The battle was also fun when you got to play 4 players.
You don't like head-to-head battles in Mario Kart 64?
No, they're kind of boring. When you had all the other racers in, I thought that's what made it cool, and it was just so random. And
My favorite part about the battles in that game is when you turn into the bomb when you die. You can just screw someone else up.
oh yeah, that was a nice touch. And the last game, you know, I want to say Wayne Gretzky 3D Hockey, but I have to give it to one of the wrestling games, so I would say No Mercy. That's the best game on, arguably, I guess, the best game on the 64. But it was the last one and had the most features, and that game was just a lot of fun. Multiplayer, I remember having a lot of good times with that one.
Unsurprising enough, you chose all sports-related games.
Yeah, I mean that's my bread and butter.
I could probably give you a good top 3 for 64. If I am not going to choose my favorite console, I would have to say Perfect Dark. I like Perfect Dark better than GoldenEye. There was way more features.
Yeah.
Mario 64, and then I really like Ocarina of Time. And those ones are all kind of cliche. Perfect Dark's probably the most out there, but it's not really.
Yeah, not really.
Because most people pick GoldenEye over Perfect Dark, and I think it's just because that was the first one they played, and they didn't really get an opportunity to play Perfect Dark. But I put probably the most hours into Perfect Dark out of any 64 game.
Well, it's kind of like if you relate Perfect Dark to the game we're playing now. What's your favorite game? Turtles 2, the arcade game, or Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project? I mean, you had to start with the revolutionary game on the system first, and then you know, play off it there. I played Perfect Dark, and you know, I agree with you. It's a great game. It just GoldenEye for me, the experiences were most of the great experiences were already had with that game before we got into Perfect Dark. I do remember playing Perfect Dark with you know, some friends from multiplayer. Played with my friend. I remember playing with Dave and Clint a lot. We just get the far sight and just shoot through walls. We thought that was cool. Just like hide out in the corner and just shoot, or a bathroom stall and just shoot through walls.
The thing that really set that game apart, though, was the simulants. Like, the fact that you could play multiplayer by yourself or with another person and then play on the same team against them was awesome. I mean, that's what I spent most of my time doing. I didn't really care for the single player as much. I've only beaten it once. I played the missions a lot, but it's definitely that multiplayer with the simulants was what kept me coming back over and over again.
Took out Baxter Stockman.
Did you like the nice sprite lag there when we had too many Mausers on screen? You stopped throwing them because we weren't killing them?
Yeah, well, there he is. He's already a fly. You know, you had a lot of, what is it called? Flashy. You know, when it's flickering. You see a lot of flickering on the screen already. This is one of those levels that was added from the arcade game. It wasn't in the arcade game. Another thing, just closing out on the 64 a little bit. I did play Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. Mario 64 I played all the way through, got all the stars. It was just a great experience. It was like nothing I really ever played before. So, and a lot of people are going to say the same thing about that game. Ocarina of Time, I also played that game. I don't think I ever finished it, but I did enjoy playing it. It was a little bit more involved than Mario 64, but again, it's just a great game. I think that was around the time though where I figured out, I just really didn't have much of a desire to play through a whole adventure game. At some point I just got bored with it. But that is a great game. I got pretty far in it if I didn't finish it, but I can't really remember. So
You got to the fire temple. That was the furthest you got. I remember because at the time when I was younger, I wasn't good enough to get very far, so I'd play on your save and mostly just run around like it was a free roam game and just go from being young to older.
So is that far in the game or no?
No, not really. I mean, you beat the child dungeons. That's maybe like 1/3 of the game, and then you maybe played up to half. And then basically once you're an adult, the dungeons get a little more challenging, and that's probably where you just stop playing. Because there's a lot of puzzles in there that are a little annoying.
Yeah. I always liked, Resident Evil, but I also got annoyed by the puzzles and stuff all the time.
You basically don't like to think, which comes back to why you don't relate to Donatello.
Yeah, pretty much.
You just want to play a game and enjoy what you're doing, and not have to put too much thought into it. I mean, that completely defines why you like sports games, because there's one goal, and you just continually go at that goal. I mean, there is strategy in it, but, when it's an arcade sports game, the strategy's not that deep. Maybe simulation's a little deeper.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think where where that changes is when you play a football game. Because even Tecmo Super Bowl, there's a lot of strategy involved in that game, even though it's very simple. And I think that's what I love about that game is it is very simple, but there's a lot of strategy behind the players you're using on the field and what plays you're picking on offense and what plays you're trying to blitz in on defense. So yeah, there's definitely some truth to that.
Well, Tecmo Super Bowl is also technically supposed to be a simulation game. It just plays like an arcade style game. And it has probably the most in-depth simulation elements out of any NES game, or NES sports game. I can't think of anything else that has something deeper than the season in Tecmo Super Bowl.
Well, the only thing you could compare it to like Zelda and the dungeons and the ability to save and collect all the different weapons and things you get in Zelda. That has a lot of depth to it.
Well, I'm purely talking about sports games.
Yeah, the only thing you can really compare it to on the NES is Tecmo NBA Basketball, which is made by the same company.
And pretty much has the same layout for everything. Alright, have fun with this guy. What is the name of this guy? Do you remember? I don't remember seeing him in the show.
McGruff, the crime dog.
One thing I want to say about this game is if this had 4 players, the NES version would be better than the arcade version because of these extra levels.
Well, even Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo, which had the 4-player adapter, did not make the game 4 players.
Well, this had a 4-player adapter too.
Yeah, that's true. I think
it would not be able to handle it.
Yeah, there's already enough. It's coming back to me where you could like jump kick, but I just can't do it quick enough right now.
Trying to cheese this boss real easy. One thing I wanted to say when we were in the city level, when you were talking, that the only non-player character that's not hostile is an overtly sexualized girl on a skateboard, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand who that's for.
I always felt like that was April O'Neil, but I know it wasn't. It was always
pretty sure that girl was a blonde.
It's weird that you swing at her and she screams and you get a point for it.
You get a point for that?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
It's like you got a kill.
That's probably a coding error. or something that they didn't want to go into the code and be like, well, you know, she's not supposed to be killed, so there's no point.
This guy is wearing out my thumb on the D-pad.
It's really nice to just sit here and not have to do anything during the bosses.
Yeah, it must be nice. Yeah, you need to shape up on your skills in some Turtles too.
I thought I was going to be better, because last time we played Manhattan Project, we were doing
It's
well.
a different game.
It is. It's a completely different game.
Yeah, I love these Turtles beat 'em up games. I mean, this one, Manhattan Project, Turtles in Time, they're definitely a lot of fun to play.
I think I can say what my favorite system is.
Oh, you know now?
Yeah.
All right, you're on the record.
You know what? No, I can't do it. Let me talk about the PlayStation 2, though.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I don't want to say it's my favorite, but there are a lot of great games on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, the PlayStation 2, I mean, the variety with the PlayStation as well. But the PlayStation 2 just looks so much better, so much more polished. You had just so much variety on the PlayStation 2. I remember having the iToy.
Oh yeah.
You had the gun con games for light gun games. You had the polished sports games. You had Kingdom Hearts, which is a venture RPG. What else? You had I remember the game, the karaoke games where you sing, and then the bar goes up or down. You had the DDR games. Man, we could just open a PlayStation 2 arcade now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. PlayStation 2s are fairly cheap. You just hook them up and get those crappy DDR mats.
Yeah,
They're
imagine
like
if you
yoga
had
mats.
all that stuff and just hooked up like 12 different PS2s. You could have like a nice little arcade action going. And then you had good fighting games on the system. PlayStation 2 was the first console that I wanted bad enough to get it when it first came out. I would have had it when it first came out. I had to wait a week just because they were such in demand and the reservation didn't come through yet. But man, that system, some good times with that one, and a lot of great games.
Do you remember what the first game we rented was for the PlayStation 2? Because I do.
Was it Time Splitters?
No. It was The Boxer. Do you remember that game?
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Bouncer. That's what it was called. It was made by Squaresoft. And I don't really remember it very well, because I remember you played through the entire game. It was like a beat-em-up style game. It was in 3D. And it wasn't that long, but it was a launch title. And that was the only thing that really stuck out to you at the store for the launch titles.
Yeah, I don't know why. I definitely don't know why.
And you hated that game.
I know I was pumped about Madden. I think it was Madden 2001 was the first one with Eddie George on the cover.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played that game in a while, but the visuals were just so impressive at the time. Because you already had NFL 2K and then 2K1 came out in the Dreamcast, and those were the best looking games at the time. But I felt like the Madden, even though the gameplay might not have been as good, the graphics were just a little bit more polished.
You know, the game that you never really got into, but was probably my favorite game on the PlayStation 2 at the time, was the Tony Hawk series.
Yeah.
I don't know why you never got into it, because it's a great game.
Well, I guess, I felt like it was kind of simulation of skateboarding, and I never skateboarded, so...
Simulation, it's not even close.
Well, I had no idea. These guys are killing me.
Yeah, the best Tony Hawk game was probably Pro Skater 3 or the Pro Skater series, and then they had Tony Hawk Underground. They had a great story. At least when I was like 11, I thought it was a good story.
Yeah.
But you know, it had a great online experience too. It was like one of the first games that I was really into online. I started a MySpace page that was gonna be my clan page for Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
Because I wasn't old enough to actually have a MySpace page, so I justified it because it was my clan page.
Oh, you were a rebel MySpace page.
I was probably
You
like 11 or 12.
You lied to Tom of MySpace. I cannot believe it. How's that Coke going down?
It's going down real smooth. It's actually a vanilla Coke. Vanilla Coke is way better.
Oh, I got pizza. I might be able to beat this guy. Just got to use the pizza at the right time so I could fill my health up all the way.
They're really drilling in the Pizza Hut advertisement in this game.
Yeah, you know what? It was a great advertising opportunity because I always thought because of games like this, like, oh, the Turtles like Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut has to be the best. And, you know, growing up in the Chicago suburbs, the pizza was so good and I didn't even know it, but yet I was like, oh, Pizza Hut. I never really got it too much.
Well, because our parents knew better.
Yeah.
It's a really weird tie-in. I mean, it's genius, though. If I'm remembering correctly, this game actually came with a coupon for Pizza Hut.
Yeah. I mean, this game definitely did better for Pizza Hut than I think the Yonoid did for Domino's. Did you know Yonoid is the Domino's mascot, or was the Domino's mascot?
What is Yonoid?
Yonoid's an NES game. You never played it? It has to do with pizza.
I've played the Mr. Spot for 7-Up. Do you remember that game?
Yeah. Well, everyone knew that, but Yonoid was the Domino's pizza guy.
Well, I'm telling you right now, that was a failed idea. Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
And Capcom made that game.
Was it a good game? I mean, Capcom made it, but...
A lot of people say that it wasn't that good. In my experience, you know, I thought it was interesting because the guy had like a yo-yo that he hit enemies with. And I thought it was good enough. And there was like a matching pizza game at the end. It was just different when I played it when I was younger. I don't know how much I would like it now.
Yeah, I don't know. So how does it feel to be playing Turtles by yourself and play it co-op?
Oh, it's exhausting, you know, because you're not here to hit the other enemies. I gotta do jump kicks. These guys are throwing spears at me now.
Does this game double up the enemies if
I think it does. I think there would be more enemies on screen if you were actually playing.
Okay. I was gonna say, it seems like you're being overwhelmed right now with spear throwers.
Gotta catch my breath, shake my thumb a little bit.
That's a great idle animation there. Where you just stand there and blink.
Oh wow, yeah.
You didn't even do it. You gotta stay longer.
No time for that. We're podcasting it right now. Gotta get these hammer guys.
You know, technically this is still a Let's Play, Tom.
Well, yeah, but you know, Let's Plays, the ones that I've seen, and there's probably thousands of them. But I just, you know, they weren't interesting me with what they were talking about. So
you wanted to call it a podcast to say that it's a little more...
Yeah, you know, there's topics, it's a little bit more talking than just about the straight gameplay or, you know, whatever the the Let's Players talk about, because I've only watched a couple. I can't judge it too much, and obviously I wanted to do something similar, so I could see the value in it for sure, especially if someone's showing you how to beat a game.
Well, that's more of a walkthrough. It's not technically a Let's Play. Let's Plays are more for entertainment, I would say.
Well, yeah.
You're mostly watching for the personality of the person that you're watching. And to experience a game that you don't really have time to play, but you want to play. Or some people don't even play video games, but they just watch people play video games.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it because I grew up watching you play video games a lot because I wasn't good when I was younger. So I've gotten used to just watching people play video games, so Let's Plays is just a natural thing from that.
Yeah, you know, you had to sit on the sideline a little bit. Not only just
like
watching
right
me
now.
play, but yeah, like right now, you're just sucking it up. Yeah, but you know, when my friends came over and played, obviously you're not first option to get in there. Unless we're playing something like the Nintendo 64 where you just plug in an extra controller and you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm good at filling out a fourth controller. You know, to get the really bad controller.
Oh yeah.
Because you always have to have a really bum controller when you have the 64. You can't have 3 or 4 first-party controllers.
No, it just didn't happen too much. Your best bet is if your friend had the system and brought over the controllers. But, you know, the price difference I remember at the time was like, you know, it was almost half the price. At least 2/3 of the price. So it's like, just go with this crappy Mad Catz or whatever third-party controller. But yeah, we had them. I think with this podcast too, I want to talk about more than just games. Obviously, we playing a game, but I think that's what can differentiate it a little bit. I want to talk about sports, maybe current news.
Oh yeah, I'll help you out with the sports.
Some politics, but for now, we'll just talk about the games.
Ooh, politics. Ugh. That's a real killer.
It's gonna be a killer for anyone who chooses to watch, but some people might like it. You know, I can't say any of the guys that I've watched their, you know, video game videos that I know what their politics are, nor do they probably want to talk about them.
No, it's good to stay away from that if you want to keep people watching. I know Bob Mackey from Retronauts usually gets some heat because he's very liberal, and people that are really right-wing get upset when he starts talking very liberally on Retronauts. I remember one person in particular was saying that half of the viewers, he's offending them, assuming that, you know, half the people that listen to Retronauts are Republicans.
Yeah, I would say, you know, most people just don't even pay attention. And I'm just basing it off of the people that I'm surrounded with, you know. I would say if you've had 10 people, maybe one of them is really educated on the opinions. 2, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Yeah, I don't know where you're going.
I just don't think a lot of people even care as much to have an opinion on it until like something's affecting them.
That's pretty much most things, though.
When it's like, hey, I need someone to speak up for me because, you know, I don't like the way things are going. It's the government that's holding me back.
So, what's your next gaming topic?
The next topic is, as I play this by myself.
How about I look at it?
No, I know it is. What was the most influential system for you in your childhood?
That one's gonna be easier because it's probably the NES. I mean, we probably had it for the longest period of time before we got the Super Nintendo. There was a lot of great games on there that really resonated with me. I really liked Mario. I mean, obviously being a kid, that would be the obvious choice. I really liked playing Duck Hunt because of, the light gun. That was really cool. What else was on there that really stuck out to me? The sad thing is, I didn't really realize how much I liked like RPGs and games like that until later in life, because you mostly had platformers and sports games. So I had the games that you had. And then, I didn't really get to decide what game I liked to play until later.
Yeah. And what game do you like to play?
I like to play RPGs, things that have that type of element in it. Currently I'm playing Fallout 4, which just came out. It's a really good game. It's a blend of a first-person shooter and an RPG.
Well, that's cute.
You would probably hate it.
Yeah, that sounds like two things that I don't associate myself with too often.
I think the only first-person shooter you've ever liked was GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
Yeah, once they changed the control scheme of the joysticks, I just never played a game enough to get good at the dual joysticks.
It's funny because that control scheme now is unplayable for me. Where you're playing with one joystick, it's just impossible.
Oh, it's possible. I could show you. Yeah, so for me, the most influential console, I mean, it was a combination. If I had to choose one, it would be the one we're playing now, the Nintendo. Just because even if, the friends you played games with had the Genesis or Super Nintendo, they also had an NES. And you just got more, I feel like I got more experiences with the games on the NES because there was just more out there and the games were still full price with Genesis and Super Nintendo. So I would have to say also for me it's the Nintendo. It's the first one I played. I could see how
Splinter looks like an
awesome gaming was. So how many levels now have I beat without you?
Honestly, I haven't been paying attention enough to tell you. I think it was 3.
I am doing terrible versus Mousers right now. This is not how you want to take care of them.
Totally worked by Mousers.
I'm going to have to go jump kick on him.
This is going great.
You really want to stand by the hole and just knock him out in one hit.
Yeah, your whole game's not good right now.
I think there's another.
Did they crash the turtle van there? It looks like it's in
Oh, they sure did.
disrepair.
Well, they sure crashed it. I just got to get my rhythm back.
One of the games that I wish that we had on the NES would have been Zelda. Because I played through that, and that's a great game. There's a lot of things that were done in that game that you could see move on towards other games. Another good NES game that we never had when we were younger was Castlevania. That's a great game.
Yep.
We didn't have Mega Man. That's another good one.
I do have a couple Mega Mans now.
Yeah, you should try them.
I did.
Mega Man's a little bit of a pain in the ass, though.
I got to Willy Wonka in the second one.
Oh yeah? You got the Dr. Willy Wonka?
Yeah, Dr. Willy Wonka.
How many Oompa Loompas did you have to fight to get there?
Man, I don't remember. I just used the metal blade.
So you just basically fell onto what you do in Smash?
Yeah.
Just throw the metal blade all day?
Pretty much. Oh, I forgot about that.
Better start remembering.
So did you hear the next character that's going to be in Super Smash Bros. Wii U?
Yes, I did, and I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that would have been the next character. That was one of those characters where people always wanted it, or would jokingly say it, but I never thought it would be in there. Because it just doesn't make any sense. Ever since Final Fantasy VI, which was the last Nintendo Final Fantasy game, there's never been a main series one in there. They picked Cloud, which obviously Cloud is the most recognizable Final Fantasy character. I heard someone say that he's the mascot, which is not the case, but you know, that's just someone that doesn't know what they're talking about saying that. But
yeah, again, it's an RPG that I really never played, so I know people love that series, and I think it's great that you get a character from such a well-known series, another third-party character on Super Smash Bros. The only thing that kind of sucks, in my opinion, is that it's another sword character. It's like there's already a ton of those with the Fire Emblem characters, so it's a little redundant.
yeah, but he looks like he's gonna be strong and fast.
Yeah.
He's gonna be different. Trust me.
Oh, I'm trusting you.
No, he looks fun. After that character being announced, I will never be surprised by another announcement for a character, excluding if it's a first-party PlayStation character or a first-party Xbox character, like Master Chief or like Nathan Drake from Uncharted.
Those are ones you want to see?
No, I'm not saying I want to see them, but the fact that they're like first party. Well, I guess Nathan Drake's technically a second party character, but he only appeared on PlayStation consoles. So I guess like Kratos would probably be a better example of a PlayStation character that I would be surprised by.
Oh,
but I mean, like,
he's in PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah, he's in PlayStation All Stars. The funny thing is, Cloud was not in PlayStation All Stars, which I would associate him to be with PlayStation way before.
Well, Crash Bandicoot
Nintendo.
wasn't in PlayStation All Stars.
Neither was Spyro. That game was garbage.
It's just because the Sony PlayStation had all the third-party support because the discs was just so much cheaper to make than the cartridges.
Yeah, the PlayStation is a really good console, which makes the PlayStation 2 even better because you can play it all natively and it's the same
These guys are
hardware.
killing
It's not
me.
even an emulation. What are these things?
They're just killers.
Tripods with.
Bebop's gun in them.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. Foot soldiers.
Are you in a warehouse? I don't understand where you
Oh,
are.
this is outside.
Is it?
I don't know.
Because there's a staircase that looks like it belongs in a warehouse, but this looks like outside. Aren't you using the barrel? Or does that not work in this game?
It works, but then I don't get the kill. I don't get the point for it.
Oh, you just want to leave me out of the game as long as possible?
Well, I'm not just gonna waste my lives because you suck at this game. I finally got into a decent rhythm. See, Leonardo, sometimes he has to take the helm himself and show the Foot Clan who's boss.
Now, you know what would be awesome in Smash, what will never happen? The Turtles.
That, when they had the voting, that's who I voted for. I said Leonardo, actually. I voted twice. I voted for Leonardo and Tails.
Yeah, Tails would have been a good addition. But I know there are a lot of people that don't like that idea. People complain about everything on the internet. It bothers me. I like to complain about how people complain on the internet.
Yeah, there's a lot of complainers out there. I mean, I've never been one to sit there and complain on the internet, so I just don't know how so many of them exist. You know, I've had friendly arguments on there, but never just go on there for the sake of complaining. I don't know. It's just something in people that they do, and internet's a safe haven for people who just like to talk smack and not see any repercussions for it.
It's not as much like that as it used to be. I mean, everything used to be anonymous, and now
Yeah.
with social media, people are actually putting their names out there, but they're still saying stupid stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't even like to go on Facebook because I follow a bunch of people, or I guess it's not even follow. I'm friends with people that I was friends with in high school, and I'd rather not listen to them.
Yeah.
There are very few people from high school that I actually want to see what they're saying.
Well, all you gotta do, you can stay friends with them, and you just unfollow them.
I think the better solution is just not use Facebook and use a different outlet like Twitter. Because actually, when I'm on Twitter, I can shape my experience. I can just follow the people that I actually want, and then news outlets.
I think there's too many differences between the two.
No.
No. Oh, I got the pizza already. I didn't want to do that. All right, I gotta beat up this dude.
Now Splinter doesn't look like a pig anymore. What is this guy? I've never seen him before.
He's a big rock dude.
Oh, he just is poorly colored.
Yeah, he shouldn't be blue. He should be, but he should be the color of like Splinter in the wall over there, the brown wall.
Well, you don't want to get confused.
Yeah.
Because if he was the same color as Splinter, you know, it would be like, oh, he must be Splinter.
Yeah.
Or Splinter's a bad guy
he really
too.
Looks like him. All right, so I think the only other planned topic we had was what do you think the Nintendo NX is going to be, and what would you like to see it to be, and all that jazz.
What I think it's going to be is something that's going to be on par with the PS4 and the Xbox One. And it's going to have some type of handheld tie-in. I've been seeing the idea where you can take any game and take it on the go, which doesn't make any sense to me if you're going to have something be that powerful. I do think that the system will be cartridge-based in a way, probably similar to the 3DS cartridge or the DS cartridge.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself, if that is the case, I mean, that's what's going to win me over right off the bat. I don't like this digital media craze. I don't care if people want to choose that option. That's fine with me, but I still would like to, have the option between digital media and hard copy media.
One of the things I want to see Nintendo do is improve their online. They've been doing some good changes with the Wii U and the 3DS, but the fact that you have to do a friend code to be friends with people is a bit of a pain, and it's a little too gated for kids. I mean, they should just have an option like other consoles do where you could just set it up so that kids can't access certain content instead of just having the whole system like that.
Got 'em.
People like us suffer.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. The only thing really good about the Wii internet at this point is the fact that, oh man, my hands hurt, is that it's still free.
Yeah, I mean, but the PlayStation has free stuff. I mean, the PlayStation.
I'm not
3,
talking about free stuff. I mean, you don't have to pay to be online. You just
That's
gotta
what I'm
look it up.
saying. The PlayStation 3 was like that, where you could play with other people online, and then the Plus version was just you get things cheaper.
Yeah, so what I think the Nintendo NX is going to be is, something, and what I don't know what it's going to be, but what I hope it is a combination of a console and a handheld, because honestly, I don't play handhelds, I don't use handhelds that often anymore. I just don't see the need for one in, what I do as far as everyday life, like carrying a handheld with me. But if I had the option and it was as powerful as one of the next gen consoles, then I think there would be definitely scenarios where I would take it with me. If they can pull that off, it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be pretty big, I think. And I would like to see them pull that off. What Nintendo needs, though, obviously they need third-party support back. Even though I don't buy annual sports titles anymore, I still like the option to have a sports title on the system that I purchased. I have the Wii U, and there's only a few sports titles that actually came out for it before they lost that third-party support. So I do have Madden 13, and that's about it.
I really don't think you're missing out much on sports titles currently, especially the football ones. It's really one-dimensional because they have the license for football, for NFL. There's nothing really challenging them to improve it. I mean, like
See
games
'em
like
blink.
NBA, those are good. The NHL game is good, but you're not missing out on much for the sports titles currently, I think. And then, I mean, part of the problem is that even in sports games now, they're trying to add in microtransactions, which is a problem with pretty much everything in gaming right now.
Oh yeah, microtransactions. I mean, that's just a huge turnoff. I noticed that on the mobile gaming first, and then putting it in the console games now. It's just there's just so much to deal with. The updates, microtransactions in some games. I rather just play the old games. To be honest, there was a slight window for me where I was like still into a lot of the new stuff. Well, not really. I mean, I bought a PS3 because of the new NBA Jam that came out. So I guess I was already kind of out of it. The only thing I found interesting were the games on the Wii U. Smash Brothers, Mario Maker, that kind of stuff. That's why I bought one. But even with those games, I wouldn't say I had to have the Wii U. It's just I was interested in those games.
I think part of the problem with microtransactions is you're no longer getting a full experience. You used to be able to buy a game and that was it. You had the game. You didn't have to buy anything extra. And now, I mean, it started up with DLC, which I thought was fine because you have games like Halo, and you buy extra maps, which wouldn't have been in the game otherwise, making the game fresh again. And now it's evolved into something where you're buying little things. They're optional technically, but they improve your gameplay if you're buying it.
Well, even a game like Smash Brothers Wii U, it's adding all these characters that cost $5 a pop, which a lot of people are fine with, and I could see why the developers are going that route, because if you look at inflation this game probably cost like $50 or $60, and that was back what 25 years ago, and the games are still coming out for the same price.
Yeah.
They're not making as much money on them if you factor in inflation, because the game market's so flooded because you had, man, I forgot how to hit this guy.
Well, another thing with that, with the DLC character, a lot of the profit from that character is going directly back to the company instead of other things. Like when you're printing physical media, you know, part of it's going into the store that's selling it and whatnot. I mean, that's why microtransactions have, you know, become so prevalent, is because they make money off of it. A lot more money than they would if they just sold the game at a retail price.
Yeah, and it's so easy since you got internet and credit cards, it's so easy just to, download now, and then there you go. You spent the money just like that.
I mean, if I'm going to talk about Smash, I don't actually mind spending the money for the extra characters, because I want to play with that character. It took way more time for them to make that character. If you think about how long it takes to actually make a character balanced and everything, it's worth that money to me.
Finally.
The only thing I have an issue with is not knowing when the game's going to be finally complete. And just waiting for an announcement for each character is really annoying to me.
Yeah, I don't mind the new character paying for it, except for when it comes to like Mewtwo and Lucas, who were in previous games. I don't feel like you should have to pay for those. They could have put them in from the get-go. But when they're a new character and like a surprise like Ryu, yeah, I think it's worth it. But for me, it's not worth it because I'm not really going to play as him, and I could still play against him if I play online because other people use them.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you still haven't gotten any of that. I mean, I only have the 3DS version, and I've bought every character for 3DS and Wii U because it's cheaper if I ever do finally get the Wii U, for me to do it that way.
So if you buy it on the 3DS, do you also get it on the Wii U?
If you choose that option. It's usually like $1 more or $2 more depending on what item you're getting.
These tigers are messing me up. I need a pizza.
That's one of those weird characters or enemies in this game that have never been in the show.
These levels start to get weird. Look, what are these things?
They're from other Konami games. You know, the developers probably just got creative, you know, like whatever. Tiger. Scorpion that shoots laser beams.
So if the Nintendo NX is everything that we think it might be, are you a day one adopter?
I would be a day one adopter for pretty much any console if I had the money for it. I would probably make the money for it for the NX if it's what I want it to be. I'm a little concerned about the idea of you being able to take your game on the go. I think developers are not going to want to make that because they're probably going to have to make like an extra version of the game or a dumbed down version of the game, just graphically, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
it doesn't make much sense to me because I don't think what the consoles are pushing out right now can be pushed onto a handheld. I don't really care about that aspect. If it was just a Nintendo console that looked like the Xbox One or the PS4, and that would be good enough for me.
I don't see why it can't be done. I mean, I've seen the PlayStation Vita and the PSP, and I was always amazed by those graphics on a handheld. I don't see why it can't be done. If you look at the Wii U as, you know, like a test run for what they were about to do. The pad, I believe it like streams from the console. I don't notice
it streams from the console.
I don't notice that much of a drop off in how it looks.
Well, it's a completely different thing when you're playing it from the gamepad to the console, and if you take those away from each other, and now you just have your handheld thing, and you're playing something that's the same quality, it's not going to be able to run as powerful as what it would be if you have the console there. I mean, I'm going to bring up something that frustrated me about Smash Brothers is they made the 3DS version to be on par with the Wii U version so that the games would play exactly the same. I mean, obviously there's a graphical enhancement on the Wii U, but they held back the Wii U version a lot because of the 3DS. And I feel like if that's the case, the handheld portion of it's going to hold back every game that comes out on the NX. I don't think it's going to be powerful enough to be able to take a game away from the console and still have that same experience.
Well, I mean, we're playing Ninja Turtles right now, Ninja Turtles 2 on the NES, and I think we would both agree it's a pretty good experience. So how good do you need the experience to be on a handheld that you take away when you could be satisfied with something that looks like this game?
Well, I guess I'm not really speaking for myself then. I'm speaking for, you know, the average consumer. Someone that's more casual of playing a video game.
Yeah, I would like to see a version that would come with a Wii U-like gamepad that you can take around different places, but also a version, if it is a console, that just might have a generic controller, like wireless controller. So then there's like two different price points. So like it might even be an option for you to have that. It's like their next handheld as well. So you can buy it separately, but then you can also hook up multiple ones to one system. I think that's where the Wii U really hurts itself, because you can't buy a separate gamepad and only one can be hooked up at a system at a time.
Well, technically it has the ability to do two, just no games support it. So there's no reason to have two gamepads.
But that's where they messed up. So it's like, so you're gonna ask developers to make games that are only one player on the gamepad, or possibly two, but you can't really even buy two unless you buy another system. Jeez.
Well, that's basically why they've never done it, because it doesn't make any sense for a developer to create a game that supports two gamepads when they have a 3DS that can do that same thing.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it, really.
So what do you think that kanji says in the background there?
No idea. These tigers are really aggravating. You really got to get him before he jumps.
Do you think I'm benefiting you being back in the game?
No. But at this point in the game, my hands are.
What happened to
this
your
is
rhythm?
all you gotta do? What was I doing before? Just get him cornered and just hack away at him.
You're never supposed to corner a wild animal, Tom. You got smart.
You did. Whoa!
So is this a real tiger, or is this like a drawing of a tiger? Because it came from the wall.
I have no idea.
Was this a level in the arcade game?
No.
Was this that other extra level then?
This was, yeah, there might have been a few. I didn't really study it before we played it, but I don't think this one's in the arcade version at all.
Why didn't you just do this last time?
Oh, I was fatigued. But yeah, these guys are pretty easy. So the thing is, like, if you haven't played this game for a while, you might forget the enemy patterns. Like, I was struggling versus those tigers by myself, but then got the pattern back down, and they're pretty easy to beat. Just like these dudes.
Yeah.
Just work them.
I feel like I wouldn't die as much if I could focus on the actual attack patterns of the enemies. But trying to listen to you and then play and talk. So
I could play and talk, you know.
it's taxing on my brain.
The first couple levels I struggled, but then after that it was nothing.
Yeah, after I died to make things harder, you got better.
You really opened it up. It's like, you know, you really opened up the game for me. Once you left and you weren't distracted me with your just getting pushed around the level.
Come on.
So I don't know if we're gonna beat this or not.
I'm gonna say we're not gonna beat this because Shredder is a big pain in the ass. He has that one-hit kill.
He's got the
Laser.
one-hitter.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you gotta do some serious jump kicking versus him.
I wonder how much money has been spent on that laser beam from Shredder.
Oh, it's no problem.
It's no problem.
No problem. Uh-oh. You gotta get that pizza. There you go.
Back in.
Back in for a few seconds.
Some more kanji on the wall.
Well, I'm about to get another rest here. Just need to kill 13 more enemies.
I just need to kill 83. And that's math on the fly with Matt.
This guy, yeah, not too good. This guy, I don't remember being that easy.
Is he in the show?
No. I don't ever remember this guy being in anything.
So he's just. You know what? He kind of reminds me of. You might not know this, but he looks like one of the enemies from the spiritual first game to the original Turtles game. It's called Getso Fuma Den. Basically, it plays like the first Turtles game, but you're just a samurai.
Oh yeah.
And he looks like one of the enemies from the game. I wonder if that's inspired. I don't know.
It could be. His body looks like it could be from the Ninja Turtles 3, the movie. Like what the Turtles wore in that movie.
Yeah, but their heads didn't fly around the screen.
Oh, this head is killing me. I thought I had him. This is ridiculous.
I don't think we're gonna make it to Shredder, Tom.
That's what you think. I got him.
Oh yeah!
Come on, bring me to the Technodrome.
So he was a robot.
He was a robot.
All right,
There it is, the Technodrome.
Leonardo going in solo.
Going into it. Scene 7. Going solo, just how I like it.
Even if you do make it to Shredder, I don't think you're gonna be able to do it. You got one rest.
Uh-oh. We got one continue.
Oh, we still gotta continue?
I think so.
Well, we'll see if I can even make it to Shredder with you. You're just gonna need to survive. And not walk into lasers.
Yeah, that would help. That would definitely help.
So did you have any more topics on the list here?
I didn't have any more topics. The only other thing I could think about is, what's your favorite, like, obscure console that, a lot of people don't know about, or they might know about now, but didn't back in the day?
Favorite obscure console? I mean, that pretty much eliminates anything by Nintendo, excluding the Virtual Boy, and I've never played that. And that system's not good anyway. Eliminates anything by Sega. Unless you want to say that this because the Saturn wasn't popular.
I would say the
It's
Master
obscure.
System's obscure.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, is here it's just not popular, and it was like in maybe like 1 out of every video game.
Oh my
1 out of
gosh.
8 every video game console holder. What I just said made no sense.
Yeah, there was a small market for it. I didn't even know about it. I just knew, I saw it at Darren's house one day, and I was like, what is that thing? That's, my friend Darren, he had it. I guess his brother had that system, and I had no clue what it was. He didn't even hook it up for me either. He's just like, oh, that's Sega. I don't even think he knew what it was. It's a Sega.
No, don't you remember when he saw on television and he was looking at some frog game and he was getting really frog bog or something like that? Like, this game's the best!
No.
I'm sure he knew what the Master System was if he was getting so excited about frog bog.
Yeah, he just didn't feel like it. He was drinking a Pepsi or two.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played the Master System before. I know there are some games that are better on the Master System than there are on the NES. Double Dragon, I know, is one. You can actually play 2-player in that version. But back to your original question.
Yeah, back to that.
Favorite obscure video game system?
Have you played any of them?
That's the thing, I can't think of one that's not mainstream that I've played. I mean, I've done research on them and watched gameplay from certain systems. So I can't really say which one's my favorite if I've never actually played it. Wouldn't you say that's fair?
Well, yeah, you could have said that about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I mean, I guess the only one that I really have much experience with now is because I bought it is the Atari Jaguar. I was interested because, it was the last console made in the US. And I was interested in it. Main interest was because I wanted to play the NBA Jam TE on it.
Very surprising.
And guess what? I do think it is the best version. The music's a little funky on some of the tracks. There's only really one intolerable track, but a good thing about the Atari Jaguar is you could just press 0 and turn the music off.
Press 0.
Yes, you press 0 on that keypad thing on the Atari Jaguar controller and you could shut off the music. So if you're not feeling it, turn it off, and then you just got the SNES sound with an announcer that actually says the player's names, which is cool in that version. The big thing, a lot of people say the Sega Saturn version and the PlayStation version is actually better, and it does look a little bit better and sound better music-wise, but the gameplay, that's where that's where you lose. You lose everything because it's just not the same. The players don't move the same. They jump higher than the arcade version. They slide across the floor.
Well, the problem with those ones is the sprites are bigger, and it doesn't feel like they increase the court size from what it is in the Super Nintendo version. So you have these really big sprites on this small court. And then plus the time is brutal in that game.
Yeah, the time's not right either. I mean, it's like, it just takes forever. A quarter. It's on the same 3 minutes that the other games are at, and they're just like almost twice as long as playing on one of the other consoles or the arcade version. So they just didn't know how to count right. I like the music on this level, now that I'm thinking about it.
You know, Konami really never disappoints with music.
This game is made by Ultra Games.
Ultra Games is Konami.
Yeah, but you gotta say that. You can't just start spitting out mad knowledge on people.
Well, the problem with
Pizza
that,
time! I just can't die.
the Atari really made Nintendo do the thing that they did where, because the Atari game, there was too many games put out on the Atari that were just garbage and shovelware, so they really flooded the market. So then Nintendo did a thing where a publisher could only put out 4 games a year. So to get around that, Konami made Ultra Games, so they could put out 8 games a year, which I don't think Nintendo was too upset about because most of the titles that come out by them are good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice strategy. But, you know, based off what you said, I don't think it was Atari that flooded the market. It was all the other developers.
Well,
because there was no control.
when I meant Atari, I meant, you know, the console itself, and not the company. Yeah, but third-party developers put out way too much crap.
Yeah, and you know, the graphics were already crap to begin with, so...
Pretty much the most playable games that are on the Atari are made by Activision.
Yeah, which were Atari employees at one time.
And the funny thing about Activision is, now they're the devil. They're just as bad as EA. You know, they just get their hands in everything.
Yeah. It's the way it goes, you know?
It's pretty much, you could say that about anything, though. A big business takes over and changes the way everything runs, and everybody has to conform to their ideas.
You're talking
Don't
over
try to
30 years ago. It's not the... I doubt it's the same people running the show. I mean...
Yeah, I don't
It's
actually
just
know that, if any of them are around anymore.
It's just a name at this point. It's name recognition and a lot of success over the years.
I remember thinking, though, around in the PlayStation 2 era, every time I saw Activision, I still thought, this is going to be a good game. And I think that's probably because I played Tony Hawk, which was made by Neversoft, but they were published by Activision. So...
Yeah, I think any developer was capable of crap besides... Nintendo was like probably the safest developer. Making good games.
Yeah, Nintendo really tries to keep their games good. They actually test them, make sure they're fun. You know, I just thought of an interesting tidbit about GoldenEye. The guy who created Mario, Miyamoto, he gave a note to the developers of GoldenEye that there was too much killing in the game. So he either wanted them to reduce the amount of killing in the game, and then another idea that he had was at the end of the game, you have to shake hands with everybody that you killed in the game, because then you didn't technically kill them.
Yeah.
But it was completely ignored by Rare.
I feel like I heard the same thing. Does this sound like one of the Retronauts podcasts?
I don't remember what outlet I heard that from. I think I might have read it from Destructoid. It was a recent thing that was published.
Yeah, it's funny, all these things you find out about these games that were so well known and revolutionary. Oh no, I'm not gonna be.
Oh, this is the guy that, the color that he should have been in that level like 2 levels ago.
But like, think about all the things that could have been, or secrets about all crappy games that no one cares about.
Yeah.
Think about all the untold stories about those games.
I like how you're moving your head with the
No.
jump kick right now. I really wish we had the video window for that.
Crap.
And that's all she wrote.
Alright. We got one continue left, but I think hour and a half into it, we kind of been rambling for the last 20 minutes. I think we're going to end the podcast here and then actually concentrate on beating this level. So we will record it, and if we do beat it, then we'll add it on to we'll add it as another video, like look what we did, but most likely we're probably not going to beat it. So that's about it for this one.
Yeah. It's been